Have you ever wondered why you feel so energized or sometimes completely drained after attending an event? It's not just the networking, it's not just the contact or the content. There's something deeper happening here. And the truth is, most people don't even realize it. Think about it. You walk into a room full of strangers, and suddenly your energy shifts. And maybe you attend a workshop online. And by the end, you're either super energized and fired up, ready with new ideas, or you can't wait to leave and you're counting down the minutes. So, what's really going on beneath the surface? Why do some events light you up and others just fall flat? So, today we are going to unpack the hidden motivations behind why we attend events and how understanding these invisible drivers, how they can completely shift the way you show up, the way you grow, and even what you say yes to on your calendar. You may not have ever thought about the hidden motivations behind why you attend events or why you don't. So, whether you're someone who loves the big buzz of a big conference or you're more of a small group Zoom room kind of person, this conversation will help you to tune in to what's really calling you. So you can start choosing the right events, the right experiences that will align with who you are becoming. How does that sound? It sounds amazing. So let's zoom out for a moment. Right now, it's 2025. We are now several years past the pandemic, and while the world is opening up, people are going to in-person meetings and events. Many of us are still navigating that event fatigue, that Zoom room zombie thing that happens when you are in front of a computer for hours, and that deep need to protect our time and energy. You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. We've learned that not all events are created equal. And showing up just because you're expected to, well, that just doesn't cut it anymore. Today, people are asking a more intentional question. If I'm going to give up my time, my energy, my attention, what's the emotional return on investment that I'm going to get? Yeah. Events are no longer just about content or contacts. They're really about connection, clarity, and conversion. And I don't mean just conversion in your business, but also in your mindset, in your identity, in your purpose. And here's the truth. The future belongs to those who connect deeply. And events are one of those places that we can do that in real time. We live in this world obsessed with algorithms and automations and, being on apps and things like that. But being in the room, whether physically or virtually, that offers something powerful that people are craving today. And that is human resonance. That moment when you see yourself in someone else's story. That spark when somebody finally gets what you do. That shift when you realize you're not as alone as you thought. So, if you've been attending events and not feeling the payoff or avoiding them altogether, this episode will help you reconnect with your why and show up the way that you want to show up. It will show you how to find those events that actually energize you, that inspire you, that motivate you to take action and don't drain you. To find those events that you can't wait to turn on your camera and show up live and interact. I remember a moment that changed everything for me. It was a few years ago. I was invited to speak at a virtual summit for coaches. Now, on the surface, that sounds great, doesn't it? Nice opportunity, big audience, industry peers. But deep down, I wasn't sure I belonged there. That imposter syndrome showed up. And I remember thinking, what do I really have to give to these people that they haven't already heard? And honestly, I almost said no, but something nudged me forward. So I prepped for my talk. I logged on, and right before I spoke, I saw the chat lighting up with people from all over the world. Coaches, consultants, speakers, authors, just people like me. So I took the stage and I shared a story about one of my first virtual workshops, how I turned it from being a freebie that drained my time and energy into a profitable, high impact offer that changed people's lives and brought in consistent revenue. And what happened next just blew me away. People started messaging me and putting there right in the chat things like, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I didn't know it was possible to run a virtual event like that. And wow, you just changed my perspective completely. Wow. That moment was my breakthrough, not just for them, but for me, because I realized it's not what we say at events that matters. It's the permission we give to others to show up, to dream bigger, to go for what seems impossible, to show up more powerfully. So that one event led to client inquiries, collaborations, even a 6-month group program that I hadn't even planned to offer. But more importantly, it rewired how I saw my own value and how powerful events can be when we show up on purpose. Maybe you've had that moment too. Or maybe you're still looking into it. Either way, what we'll explore next will help you find your version of that breakthrough, whether it's as an attendee or a speaker or even a host. We've all been told the usual reasons to attend events. We want to grow your network, want to learn new skills, gain new knowledge, get inspired. And sure, those reasons are definitely valid, but they don't tell the whole story. Because underneath all the strategy and all the structure, there are emotional drivers pulling us forward into certain rooms, to certain people, to certain experiences. Have you ever thought about that? What's actually driving you? So today I want to shine a light on 4 hidden motivations that influence our decisions about which events we want to attend or are going to attend, and which ones we'll remember forever. These motivations are why one event leaves you energized and excited, and another one leaves you numb and drained. Why one Zoom event or one Zoom call will spark an idea and another one will feel like a complete waste of time. So let's get into it. The first hidden motivation, this is where it always starts. It's connection. We are wired for connection. Not just any connection, but the kind that makes us feel seen, heard, and valued. And events, when they're done right, can be powerful containers for this kind of belonging. So let me take you back to a virtual event I hosted a while ago. We had about 15 women in the Zoom room, and one woman, Lisa, kept her camera off for most of the session. She barely even put stuff in the chat. But during a breakout room for her, something shifted. She opened up in that room about the fear of not being expert enough to host her own events. The chat lit up with people encouraging her, go for it, Lisa. You have so much value to offer. You can do this. And by the end of that workshop, she had messaged me and said, this is the first time in months that I felt like I belong somewhere. That's what connection does. It heals, it activates, it reminds us we're not alone. And here's the thing. People don't always attend events to learn something new. They aren't usually coming to events just for information. They show up because they want a transformation and because they're lonely in the journey. They're craving a community where they don't have to explain themselves, a room where their dreams aren't too much or too small or impossible. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you genuinely felt seen at an event? Not just scanned over, but really seen, heard, valued. And when you're planning your calendar or creating your own event, ask yourself this. Will this space create a sense of belonging for me or for the people in the room that I invite in? If I attend this event, will this create a space for me to feel like I belong? And if you're hosting an event, will this event that I'm hosting, ask yourself this, will this create a sense of belonging for my attendees? Because if you answer yes, you're on to something powerful. The second hidden motivation is catalyst. We attend events because we want motion. We want movement. Not always consciously, but we are looking for something to spark us, to push us forward. Think about it. Events mark beginnings or turning points, don't they? Maybe it's the moment you get a great business idea, or meet a future partner, or finally hear the exact words you needed in order to make a move. That aha moment. Let me tell you about Mark. He was in a virtual masterclass that I hosted last year, and I honestly didn't even notice him at first. He kept his camera off. He stayed quiet. He didn't engage in the chat. He didn't ask any questions. But the next morning, I got an email from him, and he said that session helped me break through the fog. I've been sitting on a workshop idea for 8 months. Now I know exactly what to do. Wow, that event became his catalyst. And here's what's fascinating. It wasn't the slides. It wasn't all the bullet points. It was the container, the energy, the focus. When we remove distractions and immerse ourselves, momentum builds. So ask yourself this question. Where are you stuck right now? What decision have you been avoiding or overthinking like Mark? What idea have you been sitting on for years? Because sometimes the shift won't come from another checklist. It comes from the right room, the right message, the right time. Now, let's talk about a slightly uncomfortable hidden motivation. Credibility. Now, we don't like to admit this, but deep down, we all want to be taken seriously. We want to be recognized as someone of value. And the truth is, proximity creates perception. What do I mean by that? When you're in the room with people doing big things, just being in the room, people start to see you differently because you're there. And you start seeing yourself differently too. Years ago, I attended a virtual event, not as a presenter, but as a participant. But I showed up, I engaged, I stayed curious. And in one of the breakout rooms, I had a casual conversation with a well-known, highly successful business coach. I invited her to be a guest on my podcast. She agreed. And after our episode, she offered to introduce me to some of her people in her network that she thought would be great collaborators for me. So, of course, I said yes. And those connections opened doors for me. They expanded my reach and led eventually to a 5-figure revenue month. Now, was it just luck? No, it was presence. I showed up in a room that reflected the level I was stepping into. Did you get that? I was sitting at a table with the big people, I call them. I showed up in a space with people at a level where I wanted to be. So sometimes just being in the room says, I belong here. I belong here. And that energy carries into everything you do afterward. So here's your question for reflection here. Are you placing yourself in rooms that reflect your future or your past? Are you showing up in places that match you with where you want to be and who you want to be? Or are you placing yourself in rooms that limit you to what the level that you have achieved at this point? You know what I mean? Like, are you stepping into places that put you at a different level, that take off the limits of where you can be and who you can be? Or are you stepping into rooms that keep you at the level you've been? You know, credibility is not about ego. It's about alignment. Alignment with you and your vision and who you can become and are becoming. So be in rooms that stretch you, that challenge you, that call the greatness out of you. So when opportunity knocks, you're ready and dressed for the role. Finally, the last hidden motivation is change. This is the one that lives just beneath the surface. Even when we say, oh, I'm just going to go to that to learn something, there's usually something deeper because, as I said earlier, we're looking for transformation, not just information. We're looking for a reset, a new identity to step into. One of the most powerful things about events is that they give us permission to shed all the old versions of ourselves. You know, and I think of Maya, a client who came to a 3-day virtual event that I hosted years ago. She came in feeling unworthy, defeated, unclear. She had her camera off. She wasn't speaking or sharing. But by the second day, she had warmed up and began to open up and share her story of how she had gone from being homeless to where she was then helping people as a caregiver. She received so much encouragement by not only me, but from not only me, but everyone in the room, just like amazed at her story and about her journey and how she was showing up and who she had become. And they encouraged her, everybody encouraged her that she had so much to offer, so much value to offer, and her story was so powerful. So by day 3, she announced her plan to start a coaching business, which she has since accomplished. Now, sure, that event gave her some tools, but what really changed? What really changed? Her self-perception, how she saw herself. That event gave her space to evolve, to become who she really was, to see herself as who she really is, and to see all the possibilities ahead of her. So that's what events do. They mark a before and an after. So let me ask you, who are you becoming? What kind of experience will help you step into that? Sometimes it's one powerful conversation in the right container. So let's bring this all together. The 4 hidden motivations that draw us to events are connection, the desire to belong, to feel seen, heard, and valued. Catalyst, the push that we need to move forward, take action. Credibility, the perception shift that elevates how we are being seen. And for change, the transformation that allows us to grow into our next version of ourselves. These aren't just nice to have feelings either. They're strategic insights. When you know why you attend events or why you host events, you'll stop wasting time on the wrong ones, and you'll show up with more clarity and more excitement and more energy. And you'll walk away having made a greater impact on others and having been impacted upon transformation. So I want to turn the mic over to you. What's your dominant motivation right now? Are you craving connection? Do you need a catalyst to get you moving? Is it time for you to step into a space that boosts your credibility? Or are you simply ready for a change? Take a moment, name it. Because once you know what you're truly seeking, you can find the right events, the right experiences, the right containers, the right people to help you step forward. In the next segment, we are going to explore how to choose the right events for you and how to make every event you attend work for you emotionally, strategically, and energetically. Because time is precious, and you deserve to invest it in spaces that give you a real return on every level. Now that you understand the 4 hidden motivations behind why we attend events, let's talk about how to choose the right ones for you. Because here's the reality, there are more events out there than ever before. There's free masterclasses, workshops, webinars, $10,000 retreats, summits, VIP days, local meetings. The list just goes on and on and on. And just because something is trending, that doesn't mean that it's for you. Just because it looks polished and amazing doesn't mean that it's the right one for you. So let me give you a framework of what I teach my own clients when they're building out their calendar for what events they want to attend or when they are creating their own events. And it starts with one powerful question. Am I looking for learning, leverage, or leap? Let's break that down. Learning. Maybe you need skills, strategy, or structure. And if your primary goal is to learn, then look for events that are focused, well-structured, and outcomes-driven. That means they have a clear agenda, proven expertise, practical takeaways. These are great when you are in the early stages of building something or pivoting into a new space. For example, I had a client, Sarah, who was launching her first online group program. She attended a paid workshop that broke down launch email sequences. She left with templates and clarity, a step-by-step system. That was the right event for learning. If you're in this zone, ask yourself, will I leave this event with something I can use immediately? Now, this next one is when your goal is leverage, when you're looking to build visibility or strategic relationships. You're not learning, you want to be seen. You want to connect, collaborate, partner. In this case, events with high value attendees, curated communities, or speaker opportunities, those are your best bet. For example, a coach I work with was ready to grow her audience. So she invested in a high-level mastermind, not for content, but for the network, for the people that she would meet and get to know and collaborate with. And you know what happened? Within 6 months, she was invited to speak on 3 high-level podcasts, and she joined a JV launch that brought her $20,000 in revenue. So if you're in the leverage phase, ask yourself, who will be in the room? And do I want to build with them? Now, this one's really powerful. If you're seeking a leap, what you need isn't more knowledge, it's alignment. This is when you need a mindset shift, an identity upgrade, or deep inner reset. You're ready to let go of old stories, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and step into a new version of yourself. These are events that are more immersive, emotionally spacious, often smaller and more intimate. Think transformational retreats, deep dive intensives, or even one-on-one VIP experiences. For example, one of my VIP clients came to a 2-day private intensive with me. She thought we were going to work on her event strategy, and we did, but we also uncovered a deep fear of visibility that had been keeping her stuck for years, that had caused her to keep putting off her event on the calendar month after month after month. She told me afterwards, I came for my event blueprint, but I left with my voice. If you're in a place where you know you're ready to shift who you are being or who you are becoming, ask yourself this question. Will this event give me space to transform? So no matter which phase you're in, learning, leverage, or leap, there's one final test: emotional ROI, return on investment. Remember those emotional drivers I talked about earlier? This is a very important question, or questions to ask yourself. Will this event energize me or drain me? Will I feel proud of how I showed up? Am I ready to show up? Will I leave with more clarity, more confidence, community? Because remember, you're not just spending time or money. You're investing your energy, your presence, your attention. And those are non-renewable resources. And honestly, if you're not excited to attend an event and to invest your energy, your presence, and your attention, you probably shouldn't be attending. If you don't want to show up engaged with your camera on and ready to participate, it's probably not the event for you. So here's your challenge. Before you RSVP to the next event or buy that ticket, pause and ask, what am I really hoping to get from this event? Is it learning, leverage, or leap? And is this the right room for me right now? Because when you start choosing events through that lens, you won't just attend more events, you'll attend the right events. And that's when everything changes. Now that you know how to choose the right events, let's talk about how to make every event work for you, even if you're not the one on the stage. You don't need to be a speaker or a presenter or a host to get massive value from an event. In fact, some of the most powerful moments happen off stage, in the hallways, in the breakout rooms, or even just in your own reflection. So here are 4 strategies that will help you show up fully and get the most impact from every event you attend. 1, set your intention before you attend. Before you join, take a few moments and reflect on this. What do I want to get out of this event? Who do I want to meet? And what mindset do I want to bring? Setting clear intentions primes your brain to notice more opportunities and actions that you can take to level yourself up. I wonder how many times you have actually set an intention before you attended an event. For example, at a recent virtual summit, I set an intention to connect with at least 3 people who are hosting virtual events. And you know what happened? I ended up being invited to speak on 3 summits and present to a private mastermind group. And that private mastermind group led to 5 new students in my course. So don't just show up hoping something will happen. Decide beforehand what will happen for you. Powerful. Second strategy, engage actively, even if you feel uncomfortable. Engagement doesn't mean you have to be loud or pushy. It could be something simple like asking a question in the chat, commenting on a speaker's point or something somebody else said in the chat, sharing a quick thought in a breakout room. One client told me that she dreaded speaking in large groups, but she started by typing thoughtful questions in the chat. Simple. And that led to private messages, new connections, and even some collaborations. So remember, your voice matters, even if it's a chat message or a small group conversation or a comment that you make. Connection doesn't happen or does not end when the event ends. So this next strategy is about following up. Make it a habit to follow up, whether it's with a new contact, the host, one of the speakers, or even yourself. Send a quick note that says something like, hey, I loved your perspective on whatever topic. I'd love to connect and learn some more. Or review your own notes and pick one step, one action to take to implement immediately. Following up turns moments into momentum. And this last strategy is to create your own event experience. If you've been attending events and thinking, oh man, I want to be the one. I want to be the one that creates that energy, that creates that container, then do it. Start small. Maybe it's just hosting a Q&A on Instagram or a live video on Facebook or a 3-day challenge for your audience. Invite a few people to come to a mastermind call or a networking call. Creating your own event, no matter what the size is, gives you control over the connection, the catalyst, the credibility, and the change that you want to foster, that you want to create in the room. And here's the secret. By creating the event, you attract the right attendees, and that opens doors you didn't even know existed and can bring you clients that you otherwise never would have met. So, whether you're a participant or a host or a speaker, your experience is what you make of it. Show up with intention, engage authentically, follow up faithfully, and create boldly. When you do, every event becomes an opportunity, not just to learn, but to level up. So, as we wrap up today's conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on what we have uncovered. First, events aren't just gatherings, they're containers, they're magnets for deeper transformation, connection, catalyst, credibility, and change. They're magnets for those deeper motivations that drive us. Knowing why you attend helps you show up with intention and clarity. Second, choosing the right events means asking yourself if you're seeking to learn, leverage, or leap. And then picking the experiences that truly match what you need right now. And third, you don't have to be on stage to get incredible value from events. You can set an intention, show up and engage authentically, follow up strategically, and even start creating your own mini events and build momentum. So here's my invitation to you. If you're ready to stop showing up to events that feel overwhelming or uncertain, if you want to own your calendar and start attracting the right opportunities and the right connections, if you want to start your own events and create that container for others, I'd love to offer you a complimentary workshop success breakthrough call. In this session, we'll uncover your unique event goals and craft a personalized plan so that every event you attend or create moves you closer to your vision for who you want to be and what you want to achieve. So just click on the link below and grab your spot. Spaces are limited because my calendar fills up really, really fast, and I want to be able to give you my full attention. So remember, events aren't just about what happens on stage or in the agenda. They're about the transformation that you choose to claim. So be intentional, be bold, and show up fully, 100%. Your next breakthrough could be one event away. I want to thank you for being here today. And remember, share this episode with somebody who might really need it. I can't wait to see how you take this and make it your own.